Now, the fact that you'll turn into an animal if you fail to fall in love with someone during your stay here is not something that should upset you or get you down. You need to choose a companion that is a similar type of animal to you. A wolf and a penguin could never live together, nor could a camel and a hippopotamus. That would be absurd. Think about it.
In his 2015 film The Lobster, Yorgos Lanthimos reduces the complex rituals and standards of real-life dating to a very specific and arbitrary level, with the result that it sort of exposes how simple and arbitrary our real-life standards really are.
Man eats alone. Man eats with woman.
We first discover the rules of this alternate reality as we find the protagonist David checking into the hotel. It seems that all single people must attend a sort of retreat, where they are given a limited time under very strict conditions to discover a mate, with whom they will leave and build a life in the city.
I'm afraid you cannot keep any of your personal belongings. We will provide everything you need as far as garments, accessories, and shoes are concerned.
Everything is all or nothing in The Lobster. You must mate. You must find your match. You must conform to the standards laid out for you without question. Shoes come in unit sizes. There are no halves.
If you need a haircut, call reception 1 day ahead. Smoking is not allowed. That way you'll be able to run for longer during the hunt without getting tired, and your breath won't smell when you kiss. Enjoy your stay.
Those who fail are turned into animals via some vague process and left to their fates as such, no longer troubling the people around them. The pressures on single people and the rather arbitrary basis on which they are expected to find love both simplify and reflect those to be found in real life. Although we don't have the time constraints or animal transformations, there is a lot of real-life hoop jumping that single people are expected to navigate in order to develop themselves as half of a couple.
You guests arrived yesterday?
Yes, I saw.
I think I saw a woman with a limp.
It's just a sprained ankle. She'll be walking normally again in a few days.
That's a shame.
That is a shame indeed.
In The Lobster, the fact that two people both suffer spontaneous nosebleeds is considered adequate to explain why they should be paired. But when compared to qualities offered in singles ads of the real world, this doesn't seem so strange. Is it more arbitrary or senseless to build a relationship on nosebleeds than a mutual enjoyment of camping or walks on the beach? By simplifying and formalizing the process, Lanthimos allows us a more direct view of our own reality while keeping the story digestible.
I'm very happy because we have a new couple. They met just 2 days ago, but they're very much in love and perfectly suited. They both have the same problem with their noses. They bleed quite suddenly.
That night he left the hotel, once and for all. He began to run without knowing where he was headed. But he was headed towards us.
This polarity continues through when we discover the loners who live in the forest and are hunted by the hotel guests, presumably for re-education and reintegration. The loners reject the norms exemplified at the hotel. They live individual lives with any romantic interaction strictly prohibited. Here, they must not even flirt, let alone mate, as a demonstration of commitment to a lifestyle in direct opposition to that of the dominant culture.
You can stay with us for as long as you like. You can be a loner until the day you die. There is no time limit.
Thank you very much.
By the way, any romantic or sexual relations between loners are not permitted, and any such acts are punished. Is that clear?
Some punishments are worse than other punishments. Having your thumb cut is worse than having your head shaved. And having a hot-boiled egg under your armpit is worse than having your leg kicked. The punishment I am afraid of isn't the red kiss, but another one that is called the red intercourse. I have never seen it happen, but it's not difficult to imagine what it means. Oh my God, I am so afraid of it.
I would never dream of leaving my wife. Even if it was just the two of us, on our own, we'd go on trips. We'd go to Portofino in Italy or go to a Greek island for the summer. And so our relationship would be as intense as it was at the start. I love my wife so much. I could die for her. That's how much I love her. I didn't know you were short-sighted. I'm short-sighted too.
There are lessons here for people willing to look, regarding both the imposition of cultural strictures and the resistance of those looking to be free of them. How people that reject the system often define themselves through that opposition and end up becoming part of that system.
When you take 306, you and you take 240. You take 282, and you two take the yacht.
But the overriding feeling here on the part of most viewers will be the distinctly unnatural approach to addressing romantic status. Why is it so important to one group to discover love? Why is it so important among the other to avoid it? And what, after all, is the best approach to one's goal on either side? These are questions that one can apply to real-world situations, and it's this that grounds The Lobster such that viewers can consider it seriously despite its absurdist elements.
Do you love her?
With all my heart.
How much do you love her? On a scale of 1 to 15.
14.
14 is a very impressive score. He loves her very much indeed. Who do you think we should kill? Who will be able to live on their own better?
The relationship of the manager and her partner is one that was built on the conventions and rituals of accepted societal norms, and as such is exposed as false. There's no real feeling behind it, as is exposed when push comes to shove.
If this woman dies, do you think you'll manage on your own, or will you get involved with someone else?
No. I can live alone. She can't. I'm on my own for hours when she's running the hotel. I like sitting in the room. Relaxes me. Calms me. I like it a lot. I can definitely live on my own.
Good evening. Good evening. I have something to tell you. His nose doesn't really bleed on its own. He bangs it against a wall, or a piece of hardwood, or something like that. Or he cuts it with a penknife when you're not looking. You two are not suited.
Similarly, David attempts to demonstrate that John's relationship with the nosebleed woman is false, that it is built on fake nosebleeds and reinforced by the presence of a child chaperone. The loners in the woods have built their relationship conventions in direct opposition to those of regular society, on the presumption that the opposite of a wrong-headed approach equates to a correct approach. The hypocrisy of the loner leader exposes the fact that even such contrary conventions do not reflect the truth of our natures, and that simply going against the grain is not the same as expressing the truth of one's identity in the face of societal pressures.
We've developed a code so that we can communicate with each other, even in front of the others, without them knowing what we are saying.
In contrast to this, we are presented with the relationship between David and the short-sighted woman, which develops despite the conventions and rituals of either camp.
The code grew and grew as time went by, and within a few weeks, we could talk about almost anything without even opening our mouths.
Their love is seemingly irrepressible, and therefore a natural expression of genuine human passion. But is there such a thing?
I bet you weren't expecting this surprise. Isn't it wonderful?
In the world as presented in The Lobster, there's an accepted premise that true love occurs when two people discover that they share some defining characteristic. So when the short-sighted woman is blinded, the intention is to undermine and destroy her connection with David.
She's blind.
Thank you.
Do you like berries? Blueberries? Blackberries?
No.
Can you play the piano?
No?
His first response to this is an attempt to hold on to their love by justifying it by means of some other characteristic they might share. Despite the futility of this search, the two hold on to one another in the hope that they can find an acceptable reason for their love to exist. This again hints that by nature the love is there, and that all that is lacking is some ostensible justification, so that they can explain their connection to others and to themselves. It may seem silly to the viewer that such trivial matters create such an earnest problem for the couple in the movie, but I think that upon reflection, most would admit that real-life causes of rifts in relationships are often no less absurd.
Would you like to play another round of Touch, Guess, Think, Win?
No, that's enough for today. In any case, I've run out of things to test you with.
Finally, the absence of this mutual characteristic causes David to glumly confront the fact that he no longer feels the passion for the short-sighted woman he previously had. Arbitrary or not, silly or not, the basic standard his culture has accepted as essential to mutual feeling does matter. And so we are led to conclude that love doesn't arrive simply from some internal source independent of society, but rather is dependent upon some values instilled culturally upon us.
I'm hungry. You haven't brought me a rabbit for days. Or things for me to touch and guess.
I've got good news. I've had a great idea. Have you a minute?
What kind of idea?
Frustrated, David makes a final attempt at asserting his independence by declaring that he will sacrifice his own eyesight in order to once again share a defining characteristic with his lover. They will both be blind, and therefore alike, and therefore free to assert and explore their love.
I touch my left cheek, and then lie face up.
You sure you're prepared to do that?
Yes, of course I'm sure. Can I have a knife and fork, please? Not a butter knife, a steak knife.
Certainly.
I have no doubts about David's conviction. He means to go through with it. But think how difficult such a sacrifice would be to make. Of the will required to mutilate your own eyes. The knowledge that even after the first has been punctured by the knife, you must still follow through with the second. This isn't an easy thing even to contemplate, let alone to do. The instinct to self-preserve, the basic fear of injury and pain, are here set against the supposedly irrepressible power of love. Love, so they say, conquers all. And David has proved he loves the short-sighted woman, hasn't he? Despite conflicting with every social tenet, despite even the most basic premise of what is understood to be the root of love, he's willing to lose his very eyes in order to prove that love has primacy over that which is its supposed cause. That love is, and all else follows. The tension built in this scene is tremendous. Will Dave follow through? Will love conquer all? Or will he take advantage of his lover's blindness to simply walk away, abandoning her in favor of self-preservation? We care not so much because the couple are endeared to us, but because a verdict is being rendered on the nature and power of love itself. And so the movie ends, no answer is provided. The viewer must decide for him or herself what decision David makes, knowing on some level they are also deciding their own convictions on the matter. Do we love as a consequence of social standards that we are taught lead to love? Do we love in defiance of social standards, identifying ourselves and our relationships in terms of what cultural norms we are violating? Did David love his mate, or was he merely passionate about the idea of being in love? When we love another person, is it because we recognize in them some quality we seek or share? Or do we first love and then seek to rationalize, to explain, to justify that which moves us without known source or cause? It's just my opinion, but personally I think David walks. I think he'll continue to pursue love in hopes that it will find and define him, and will justify his need through discovery of a comfortable match. He won't blame himself for abandoning his lover, as after all theirs was no longer a love with any basis aside from suffering. There's only so much one can live contrary to the values of society. I think he will emerge from these events none the wiser, as do we all. Lovers. Can't live with them, can't live without them.
Stop it! That's enough. Show my parents some respect. They are playing you music.
That's okay. No, Mother. It is not okay.
Agree, disagree? Please leave comments with your thoughts and alternate interpretations of this fascinating film. Like and share if willing, and if not, shoot me.
I knew you were lying. I can't understand why you did it, when you know as well as anyone that a relationship cannot be built on a lie. We're going to the hotel manager right now, and you'll get the punishment you deserve.
What's the punishment for this?
They turn you into the animal no one wants to be.